Alright, welcome back to the second demo video of the SEO plugin. If you missed the first video for some reason, it should be right above this one. But just to recap very quickly, we went over things like how to get Moz metrics, how to download up to 1,000 backlinks from Moz, how to get the domain location information, how to check if a domain's available, get the domain IP address, do a whois lookup querying the actual whois server, get various information from the Wayback Machine like the first capture, the last capture. You can remove this toolbar here. You can get the dates of the captures, and you can even get all of the captures as well. And now we are going to talk about things like keyword density, keyword scrapers, link shorteners, social metrics, and the URL functions. So for the first one, we're just going to talk about keyword density briefly here. What this is going to do is it is going to allow you to put input text such as something like this, and then have you look for your keyword. In this case, I'm just going to put affiliate. Now you can remove the punctuation, and so what that's going to do is it's going to remove everything from commas to periods. It's going to remove quotation marks, like apostrophes and things like that. So if you have an apostrophe in your keyword, you may want to remove that and select this remove punctuation, or you may not want to. So it's your option. You can also add in stop words. So if I wanted to, well, let's just run this first so we can actually see what the keyword density is right now, and it's 5.88%. And so let's put in a few stop words. Let's put to us the offer and see what the new keyword density is. And as you can see, it's gone up because we have less words. And so this is a good way to be able to put in text and check the keyword density. This uses the logarithm found on Wikipedia, I believe. So I checked it against SEO Toolbook, and we got very similar results there. So it should be pretty good. Alright, moving on, let's talk about the keyword scrapers. So this is going to be able to scrape keywords from suggestion engines. You know, when you go to Google, and you start typing, and it brings up these suggestions. So that's what we're doing here, is we're scraping suggestion engines. And this is going to do Amazon, Bing, Google, and Yahoo. So I've set up this program so that it will take the alphabet, and every single letter it will go through and it will scrape and add to each of the lists. So Amazon, Bing, Google, and Yahoo for each letter. And so we can just see how those fare like that. As you can see, it's pretty quick. And it's done. So, each of these is going to have all of these different keywords, and then of course you can go through and you can add them all to the same list or do whatever you want with them. Let's just clear that up there. So quick and easy way to get keywords. Let's talk about link shorteners. We're using is.gd and tinyurl right now. This is just a real easy way to create link shorteners. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the UBot Studio resources, we're going to go to About Blank, which we're already at. We're going to create a link shortener is.gd. We're then going to navigate to that, which should take us to the UBot Studio resources. And then we're going to repeat the same thing with tinyurl. So let's just hit start. It's creating the link shortener. It's navigating. As you can see here, it just navigated to the shortened link. And now tinyurl, as you can see, it navigated there as well. Alright, so real simple way to create, a lot of link shorteners for your URLs. Social metrics, we have the Alexa rank, we have Facebook likes and shares, we have Google +1, we have LinkedIn share count, and Pinterest shares, and you can set a proxy for all of these as well. Alright, so let's run this, and we may get an exception. I'm not sure if Ubot has shares or likes, but if we do, it'll be a good chance to show you what that looks like. And oh no, I had it set to 0 anyway. But as you can see, there's not too many metrics for Google. So we got an Alexa rank, we got some Facebook shares, some Google Plus. So we'll have to change the URL to be something else. Let's try YouTube. What are we missing? Facebook likes. So let's just do that. Okay, so as you can see, we now have a result for each of these. Speaking of exceptions, I'm just going to show you what that would look like. If for some reason there was not a URL or something, you will get this kind of exception. It will say something meaningful. If it says something that's not meaningful, that doesn't make sense, feel free to contact me, because that could actually be a bug. But typically it'll say something that I wrote there. And so this is fine. This will not show up in your compiled programs. This will not show up. So it won't show an error to your users, and it will handle the error by setting the result to always be blank. Just like an FYI, if you get a blank result, you can check to see if it's blank, and you can handle that by putting, say, like an NA or something. But in this case, it would have set the result to be 0. But I'm just letting you know what would happen if, say, you didn't put a URL. All right, let's talk about URL functions. So this is kind of really important when you're doing a lot of scraping and like spidering, crawling, website crawling. So there's a couple interactions that I want to talk about, like replace fragment. It may not seem useful, but if you're crawling a website, it's super useful to be able to do that, because this will allow you to avoid spider traps. All right, so let's go over each of these, and let's just clear out the variables so we can see easily. All right, we have fragment. All this is going to do is it's going to get the URL fragment. And what is a URL fragment? If we go to this page here, this is Wikipedia's page on coffee. I'm going to remove the fragment so that we can see the page. This is a page. This is a fragment. And this is basically going to take us directly to that specific section. And the reason that we want to remove fragments for things like web crawling is because all of these are fragments. We don't want to navigate to this page 100 different times. Even though the URLs may look different, they're all going to the same main URL, but the fragments are different. So if you add them to a list, they would all be unique, but they would all take you to the same page, just all a different spot on the page. So let's see what this looks like. So we can just view the fragment like so, or we can replace the fragment. I just put nothing, but you can actually replace it with anything you want. Just in most cases, you don't want to replace it with anything, so you would leave this blank, or you can use this nothing function if you wish. So we can view the host name of a site like so, and we can also remove that www like so, and that will remove the first www and not the last one if it's part of the domain name, for example. We can see if a URL is valid. In this case, we have ubotstudio.com/resources, and this is a valid URL, so you can see if URLs are valid. If someone maybe forgot to type in a slash, then that's not a valid URL. And actually, just so you know, this whole plugin uses basically this kind of function for validation checking. So if you try to put an invalid URL somewhere, it will let you know that you typed the URL incorrectly. The URL you provided is not valid. So just like an FYI. And again, this will not show up in compiled bots. This will just set this to be blank. Okay? In case you're wondering. Alright, and last, we have trim URL. So if you just want the domain names and you don't want everything else, you can use this and it will trim it to the root domain and or subdomain. If there's like this kind of URL, then it will take you to the subdomain because it's technically kind of counted as a separate domain. Alright, so this has been the second demo of the SEO plugin. Again, if you missed the first one, the video should be right above this. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to email me at sales@iamautobots.com. Thanks for watching.